Hi friends. So I promised that I would make a video on blending colors with brush pens, and I need to preface that by saying I am not an expert at this. This is something that I've only been playing with, the blending aspect of it, for the last couple of months. I've kind of gotten into, I almost want to say, a style that suits me, that it's working for me. Basically, I learned by trial and error, and when something works for me, I go with it and take it to the next level if I can. So it's not that the way I've been doing things is the way to do them. It is a way to do them. So I'm going to share that with you today. And maybe it's something you want to incorporate into your lettering, or maybe you wish to go another direction. It's all good. But I'm going to start with showing you what I've been doing, but not only that, but showing you with some different pens and with some different papers. Surprisingly, in my opinion, I think the paper matters more than the pen. So I know a lot of times when I post something on Instagram, I will get comments with people saying, "Oh, what kind of pen did you use?" And understandable, I remember doing that all the time until I started collecting pens, because it's been about 2 years, a little over 2 years that I've been lettering, and at this point I have a bit of a collection going with the pens. But I can remember wondering the same thing. What magic pen is that person is using that's creating what I find so beautiful? And I've come to sort of understand that it's not really the pen. It's taking the time to learn the technique, and oh my gosh, paper matters. So a lot of times when I get really frustrated with something, I always assume it's me. I'm sure I'm not the only one who does that. And I have found that more often than not, I'm not using the right tool, whether it's the right pen, the right paper. More often than not, it's the paper. So I'm going to kind of show this with some different papers so that you can see how much of a difference the paper makes and how little of a difference the pen makes. So I have some Zig Brushables. These are pretty much my favorite. They are nice. They're juicy enough without being too juicy. They have 2 colors in each pen, which is really handy. I like to pack a pencil case in my bag, and so when I do that and I take stuff with me, I have less pens because I have 2 colors in each pen. I have some Tombows because the Tombow Dual Tips are really easy to find. They're very popular. A lot of people have them. But I also wanted to include these because in some ways I sometimes get the impression that people think that Tombows are the best pen, and they are great. They're wonderful. But there's a lot of pens that are pretty much the same. I find a lot of these but to me, all of these pens that I'm working with here for this demonstration, to me, feel similar. I use them interchangeably. I use them together. It doesn't really matter to me. They're all pretty much the same. The tip size is similar, and their amount of ink flow or juiciness is similar as well. I'm also going to use an Artist Loft Dual Tip, which are a great dupe for the Tombows, much less expensive, available at Michael's. You can always use a coupon. And in some ways I like them a little bit more than the Tombows, because you can see that they look pretty similar, except the Artist Loft pen, the tip is a little bit, tiny bit smaller, which makes it a little bit firmer. And with it being a little bit firmer, I don't know, I find that just a little bit easier to control. I can get a little bit nicer upstroke. And I'm trying to use some colors that are similar when I'm showing this technique I've been using. So with the Artist Loft pen, I don't have a blue that's similar, so I'm going to throw in this Zig Kuretake. I think it was a Fuda Biore or something like that, but I'm not seeing that on here. If it's written on here, it's not written on here in English. It could be one of these things. But I'm going to toss that into the mix as well, mixing that with the Artist Loft pen. So what I have basically been doing, and it's easy, it looks fancier than it really is. I'm going to start with the paper that frustrates me the most, and then move to the paper that I find easiest to work with. I can't say for sure if I find the Rhodia, which I'm getting into now, the Rhodia pad, or this is the HP Premium 32-pound LaserJet paper. So the two of these, and they are the pretty much what everybody recommends, what everybody suggests. They're great papers. But when it comes to blending, I find them frustrating. I think they're great for drills, for practicing, for just writing something out in a single color and then going back and adding shadows. But when it comes to layering color one on top of the other, the problem I find for me with both of these papers is that they're a little bit thinner. And I like to blend. So I see a lot of people, I see videos on Instagram, little video clips, where people blend by putting down their base color, and then they add a little bit of their accent color, and then they pick up the pen of their base color and drag it back through again. And that's not how I like to blend. And I say that because I've tried it and it just doesn't work for me. I can see the line of demarcation where one color ends and the next color begins too much for my liking. When I see other people's work and they've done it this way, it looks great to me, but when I'm doing it, it just doesn't look as good to me as I would like it to look. I like my blend to be a little more seamless, so it looks a bit almost airbrushed from one color to the next. So I'm going to go in first with the Zig Brushables, because they're my favorite. I'm going to have a Tombow clear blending pen handy. I use that a lot. And so just for the sake of demonstration, I'm not going to write out whole words and everything because I want to get through a lot. So I'm going to start off with some lavender and then some blue. And then I like to take the, now you can see on this paper, it dries super fast. And I don't get that chance to get in there with the blending pen. So then what I do is I will take the blending pen and just put some color on the end of it straight off of the colored pen. And see, already this is starting to pill up a little bit. But then I will just color down until that fades out. Now here, I got pretty far down before my color faded out. What I will do if I don't want it to come all the way through, what I'll do in that situation is I might not color up there right away. I'll just go straight with putting some color on the tip of the blender and just go from there. And then also, I like to keep a piece of scrap paper near me. In this case, I'm just going to use this top sheet here, and I will wipe off some of the color as I'm going so that I can get it to end more quickly. So that is how I'll get that seamless airbrush looking blend. But you can tell, like right here, this paper is starting to pill up. If I kept messing with it, I'm going to quickly get a hole in it. And that is not what we want to do. And so the way to clean off your clear blender pen is to just, I like to kind of twist and roll it as I write. And just and once you make a few strokes, there will still be maybe some color left on the tip, but it doesn't come off onto the paper anymore, so you don't even need to worry about that at that point. And so moving on to the Tombow, starting first with just a base color. Pardon me, I'm still having allergy issues. The trees are killing me. And then, so same thing, the Tombow, you can kind of get a little more, if you kind of color over that, it'll start to dissolve it a little more. And so I don't think I need to add some more color onto the tip. I might have gotten to it a little bit faster than I did with the other one. But that is how that works with the Tombow pen. Really, really similar. I think because I got to it a little faster, it didn't dry so fast, and I didn't have to mess with it to the point where I was rubbing through the paper. And so I'll just clean off my pen. Did I not even use that? That must be why my pen was clean. And then we'll go in with the Artist Loft. Have this at the ready in case I need it. Well, I will need it to blend it down, but I won't be adding it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll get in there fast enough and not have to add any more. And so I find it helps to get in here and just go over all of the main color. Yeah, see, that's, I got the line gone, but I can feel the paper starting to want to rub up, starting to want to pill. And so that's basically it. Sometimes I like this where it's darker here, and even though it's seamless, you can tell where there's more depth of color there. Other times I really prefer it like this one, where it's, you know, more of a pale blend. And sometimes I can control that, sometimes I can't. Sometimes it just looks like what it looks like, and maybe people like it, maybe they don't. A lot of times I just go with whatever happens and try to let, you know, things be and not get too tied up in what my expectation was. I'm going to do the same thing here on this HP Premium paper so you can see. There's the Zig. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the top. And then, now I guess the Zig must dry a little bit faster because see, the same thing, I'm getting that, I can pull some color through, but it's leaving me a pretty defined bit there that didn't blend. So I'm going to just add some color to the tip of the blender pen and then blend that through. I didn't even realize that the Zigs did that. Maybe that's why I found that paper really matters, because it was frustrating me since those are my favorite pens. And then the Tombow. Let's see if I can get the Tombow to move faster on this paper too. I'm learning something here too. Oh, see? No, look, that did the same thing. So while this is really a great paper for a lot of things, for blending, see my paper is starting to shred. Ugh, ugh, yuck. And then we'll move in with the Artist Loft. I love that purple. See, it matches my nail polish. And so same thing. And I can already tell that it's starting to shred up the paper. So I'm going to just end there with that and just say this paper for me is not ideal for blending. So I'll set that off to the side. So when I did start playing with blending, I was using a journal. I was using a Scribbles That Matter journal, which is really similar to a Rhodia journal. The only difference is that the paper is a little bit thicker. It has, so Rhodia paper is 80 GSM in their journals. I would imagine that the pads are the same. It feels pretty similar to me. The Scribbles That Matter had 100 GSM paper, and when I was in that notebook, that's when I started blending, and I was having easier time with the shredding issue than I was with the Rhodia paper or the HP Premium. But I was still having a little bit of issues, especially if since I was just starting to really play with it, I was working it more than I actually am at this point. And so I was having the issue of it looking too pilly and feeling like I was going to rip a hole through the paper. So that is when I got this journal, which is a Lemome. The paper in this is super smooth. It is 120 GSM. So it's, if you're comparing it to Rhodia paper, it's like a thickness and a half. So it's really nice thick paper. You can, here's one sheet, you can even hear the thickness. The only thing I don't love, and the Scribbles That Matter was the same, that notebook, that journal, is the ivory color paper. I wish it was like crisp, clean white, because it just takes better pictures in my opinion. So I'll show you the same thing in this one. I'll start with the Zig Brushables. Add a little of the blue. Go in with the, it's leaving the line. Get some color on the tip. And then just blend it through. And see, this is where I would have a problem, is because I would try to get that line to go away, and so I would keep coming in here and working that spot, and that's the very spot where I would get that shredding problem, or feeling like I was going to rip a hole in the paper. So then after the brushables, we'll go in with the Tombow. And try and move fast. That does break down better, doesn't it? Dissolves a little faster. Lets me spread it out. Less of a line. So the Tombow worked really well on this paper. That's funny because that's, like I said, I tend to carry around the Zig Brushables. But I think I've just learned a little something here. But this is what actually sent me looking for even better paper. Because I could get it to do it what I wanted to, but... And so then here's the Artist Loft, and then the Zig Kuretake. You can see that acts a little bit more like the brushables. And see that right there, and even this, a lot of people, I see people, other people's pictures, other people's work, and it looks like that, and it looks great. It's just when I'm doing it, I don't know, that seamless thing is always what I'm going for, and if I'm not getting it, I'm not happy. And so same thing here, in this very spot here, you can see I'm starting to get little shreddy bits. Not horribly. It doesn't really go through the paper that much because this is pretty thick paper, so it handles it. Especially the Tombow line is right there, and so it handled that well. And I tend to only write on one side of the paper anyway in my journal, just because I don't want to even have to worry about it. So moving on, let me show you what just had me so very excited. So this I bought, it was on sale. It was one of those good Michael sales where it was either 50% off or even maybe I had a coupon for 60% off. And so I bought this Canson XL Smooth Bristol pad. And I love that it has perforated paper because on one page, I went and marked out 1-inch increments through here, which made it really great when I am using a laser level. I can set this up and shoot the laser straight across to one of the lines on there. And then if I just left this in after I pulled out the page that I had worked on. So now I have a guide just sitting there waiting for me to need to use my laser level. And so same thing here. This paper for me is my holy grail at this point for blending because it is just a dream. So the Zig Brushables. See, look how that works. There's no line. It blends like butter. Isn't that amazing? And then the Tombow. Doesn't that just look so smooth, so airbrushed? The Artist Loft pen with the Kuretake. And so that is basically it. That is my secret. My secret is that I have no secret. My secret is that I kept experimenting with different pens and different papers, and I found that the pens did not make a huge difference. But oh my gosh, the paper. Once I let go of thinking that the Rhodia and the HP Premium LaserJet paper were the holy grail and started playing with some other things, oh my gosh, it's like everything just took off for me. It was, my eyes were opened, the clouds parted, angels sung. This paper makes it easy. This paper makes me feel like I know what I'm doing. So this is the paper that I like to play with now. Granted, it is a little bit expensive, but if you get it with a coupon, and another thing I like to do is this is it with the, you know, bound with the ring binding, but you can also get it in a pad, and if you get it in a pad, you can cut it down. So if you get a big pad of it on sale, 50% off, and then you go in with your paper cutter and cut it down into smaller things, so when you're just using it for, say, a lettering challenge, because you know I love my challenges. If you're using it for a lettering challenge and you just have one word, you don't need this whole thing. So half the size of this would be enough for one word written pretty largely, giving you plenty of room to work. And so that's what I would do, is that I just cut it down. I have a container where I have watercolor paper and now Bristol cut down. I think the Bristol that I have in there though is the Strathmore, and I don't like it as much as the Canson XL. It just doesn't feel as smooth or as coated, and things do dry a little faster, and they are not as, they're a little bit more like in my Lemome Journal as opposed to this paper, so it doesn't work quite as well. Canson XL Smooth Bristol is my holy grail at this point. I have not found anything that works better. If I did, I'd tell you. Okay, so I'm going to end that there. Let me know what you think, if this helped. I'd love to see what you make, so feel free to tag me in something or send me a comment to check out your Instagram. I would love to. And if you have any other things that I can help you with, just let me know. Leave me a comment, send me a message. I would be happy to help. This is fun for me. So with that said, I will talk to you later. Bye.